Long ago, all of this land was covered by ice, clothed in winter without end. But God, our Creator, brought back the warmth, pulling back the ice and revealing this land. Plants and animals returned to the land, and it was good. Then God gave to the land a people, and a people to the land, to care for one another, to live together. So in this time, we celebrate the gifts of the First Nations people of this place and land. We celebrate all who make this place a home, together with the God of justice. As a people called to follow the light of the Christmas star, called to seek justice, we eagerly await the day where we see the gifts of our Indigenous sisters and brothers. May we listen again and again to their sacred story and continue to work for the day when all will live together in hope, peace, joy, and love. Light of Christ, light flaming bright, burn in our hearts, holy hope. Light of Christ, light flaming bright, burn in our hearts, holy peace. Light of Christ, light flaming bright, burn in our hearts, holy joy. Light of Christ, light flaming bright, burn in our hearts, holy love. Though for many of us, if not all of us, the season of Advent and season of Christmas and the day of Epiphany are all packed away. And even though the remnants of feasting and festivities have all been cleaned up for today, for at least for these next moments, we hold on. We hold on to the light, to the hope, the peace, the joy, and the love. In fact, as poet Anne Weems reminds us, the birthing is never over. And so it's enfolded by light and warmed by the abiding meaning of the ancient scriptures that we gather in worship. And so Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
And blessed Epiphany. It is good to gather, good to mark the Feast of Epiphany. As they say, better late than never. And I do hope and trust your season and your celebrations were filled with wonder and joy and moments of goodness. Though many churches marked the celebration of Epiphany last Sunday, prior to the Feast of Epiphany on Friday, January 6th, as we were not together in worship last Sunday, we are marking the Feast of Epiphany this morning, bringing to heart and mind that ancient story, and guided by the light and wonder of the season, we gather. A light burning in the dark sky, a light burning deep within those wise ones, a light that was made flesh in the one we call Emmanuel, God with us. And it's that light that is entrusted to us on the day of Epiphany and in this season of Epiphany as we continue to follow in the lights of the season. As we gather together this morning, as always, draw your attention to announcements in the bulletin and a few announcements that are not there. I'm ever aware that as we come back together after some time apart, we do come back together holding various things that have occurred in the last number of weeks, and those moments of joy, but also indeed moments of sorrow. And so we do continue to unfold in our care the family and friends of Shirley Mackenzie. As many of you know, Shirley was a longtime member of our church and of our United Church Women. And it's been my honor, and I know many of you, your honor to have known her and Ina. And it's been my honor to be part of private celebrations that were held to mark Shirley and Ina's life and to mark their death. And we certainly hold the Mackenzie family in our thoughts and prayers. We do offer our ongoing care and support to the family of Sandra Heron Barrett, and especially to her sisters, Susan and Diane. And we also continue to unfold in love Anne Bully and the Bully Redmond family as they grieve the death, but moreover celebrate the life of Gil Redmond, husband and loved one and friend. And also to Brad McCullum and the extended McCullum family, we offer our prayers and care on the death of Brad's brother, Martin. And so we do unfold those who are with us and those who are not with us this morning in ongoing love and care, and knowing that in these days of light and that feeling of grief and sorrow is often felt deeper, and we certainly offer our love and care. I'll note the number of announcements in the bulletin, and as you'll note, the various activities that are happening in the life of our church congregation. You'll also begin to notice that in our calendar, we are listing events that are, especially our church hall, are being used for various community groups through Pictou Recreation and other community groups. So just that you're become aware that during the week our hall is now being used for a variety of groups, and that's good to have our hall used, and just it means that during those times we're not using our hall and need to be attentive of the groups that are gathering there. And you'll note the activities in your bulletin. Also, following worship, it is our tradition on the first Sunday when we gather in the new year to have what we call a leftover coffee hour. And I noticed there's lots of goodies and sweets and treats and empty calories, do they call them, or full calories downstairs. So following worship, please make your way downstairs for a time of refreshments, coffee, tea, and juice, and goodies, and a time to catch up with one another as we gather anew in this new year. And also, if you didn't have an opportunity to speak to Bev or Nancy prior to worship around fund script orders, they'll be able to speak to you and get your orders following worship as we move into a new year of supporting fund script in the ministry of Pictou United. It has been a season of celebration, and today is a day of celebration. Sharon Shivery is celebrating a birthday right this very moment, and she is here, and we're having coffee hour and goodies downstairs for you, Sharon. So, anyone else? I know there's been birthdays in the past weeks, or anyone want to admit to a birthday?
Bill had a birthday on the 31st of December.
Bill had a birthday, a happy new birthday, happy new year. And I know Angie had a Christmas birthday that we were apart from. So we have some December birthdays. Any other birthdays, celebrations as we gather? No one wants to admit to anything this morning.
I believe David Poss had a birthday.
David Poss, I think, is tomorrow or coming or yesterday. David Poss had a birthday, yeah. No other birthdays. Well, we'll sing happy birthday to Sharon and those who had birthdays, belated birthdays. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. We've been on a journey. The season of Advent, about creating a home for God. The day of Christmas and the season of Christmas, about rejoicing in that message that God has become flesh and makes a home amongst us. And then the Feast of Epiphany and the season of Epiphany, pondering how we are going to continue to embody the holy through our living, through our lives. If it happened then, why not now? If it happened there, why not here? In the places of least expectation, Christmas comes. In cloudy skies, stars shine. In heavy hearts, feathers land softly. In scheduled lives, birth surprises. Birth surprises. An unmarried teenage girl was invited to carry Christ into this world. And an ordinary carpenter was invited to be a father to a child unlike any other. The shepherds, that's the wrong... I'm just following in the trend. We'll use the right gathering words. The ones not that I really put in the bulletin. When the star had stopped and they had seen the baby, they took a new road. When decorations come down and we have heard the story once more, we can take a new road. New roads can be scary. New roads can be risky. New roads are exciting. New roads are filled with possibilities. Let us gather ever aware that the Star Maker, Light Bringer, Holy Spirit of adventure calls us to this place, moving us inward, outward, and onward. It is a new year. And New Year's often is a time for us to look behind, to kind of evaluate our lives and the year that has passed, and often a time to look forward, to set goals, to look towards what the new year and new days have to offer. Irish poet John O'Donoghue, in his longer poem that is called At the End of the Year, offers these words for the year that is past and indeed the year to come. We bless this year for all we learned, for all we loved and lost, and for the quiet way it brought us nearer to our invisible destination. Let us be gathered and grounded in prayer. Let us pray. Faithful companion, into this new year we pray, to live deeply with purpose, to live freely with detachment, to live wisely with humility, to live justly with compassion, to live lovingly with fidelity, to live mindfully with awareness, to live gratefully with generosity, to live fully with enthusiasm. Help us to hold this vision and to daily renew it in our hearts, becoming ever more one with you and our truest selves. Whoa, right, look at that. Adding to our Change It Up. That's what I was going to spend time talking about this morning. Thank you. How has the season been for folks? Good? Good? Filled with moments of wonder? Moments of joy? Moments of disappointment? Yeah. There must be some other moments in the season. It is a mixed season, and we continue to mark the season as we gather this morning. But this is a moment of joy. Each year we take on a different Advent project, and we never know where it might lead us and what it will look like, but we're determined to begin to change it up, and to change it up by using our change to make a difference in the world. I don't know what's in these buckets. I've shaken them a few times, but this coming week our Pastoral Care and Outreach Committee will take the time to look inside and to see what the gifts that are in there that we'll be offering to the chaplaincy at Dalhousie University, to our United Church Healing Fund as we support our Indigenous sisters and brothers, and especially the work of healing regarding residential schools, to the Centro Cristiano in Cuba as they continue their outreach work to seniors in their community, and to the House of Lazarus in North Dundas, Ontario, again, as they continue their work and ministry. As I've said over the Advent season, we may not think that a nickel or a dime or a quarter makes a difference, but if we have 10 quarters, we have if we have 10 quarters, we have. If we have 10 dimes, we have. If we have 5 nickels, we have. If we have 100 pennies, we have. And those dollars all add up. And those dollars all go directly to these ministries. And these ministries are all about offering the presence of hope and joy and peace and love to others. So I want to thank you for supporting Change It Up. And if you want to still support it today, these will be left here at the back today. Or if you want to be in touch about supporting our Change It Up project, please do so. And remember, Gifts for Vision is something that we can support year-round as we support those ministries within our wider church. And so thank you for offering your gifts. And so we're going to sing our Change It Up song, and we're going to give a big yay to us for being part of the work of God in our world. Yay! Next year, I'm going to use the tune of Silent Night, I think. Thank you. And I think Jeannie is going to make her way downstairs with a few little ones. Epiphany, that English word finding its roots in a Greek word, meaning revelation, manifestation, an epiphany, an aha, a showing forth. Author Edwina Gately defines an epiphany as a grasp of a new reality. Grasping a new reality. Matthew's gospel text, the story of the Magi's journey, is familiar to so many of us, and perhaps often too familiar. So familiar that we don't really hear it. If I was to ask you how many Magi were there, what would you say? Listen to Matthew's text. Nowhere does Matthew name that there are three. 3 gifts. How many wise ones wandered? We don't know. A text so familiar, so embedded into our Christmas carols of the We Three Kings, that perhaps we haven't really heard the gospel story, the gospel text. So today, as we hear it read, I invite you to try to hear it anew. And perhaps you might hear a new word or a new phrase, something you haven't heard before. Perhaps today you will have an epiphany, an aha moment, the grasp of a new reality. I invite Donna to share with us the Matthew Gospel reading.
After Jesus was born in Bethlehem village, Judah territory, this during Herod's kingship, a band of scholars, seers or magi, wise men, arrived in Jerusalem from the east. They asked around, "Where can we find and pay homage to the newborn King of the Jews? We observed a star in the eastern sky that signaled his birth. We're on a pilgrimage to worship him." When word of their inquiry got to Herod, he was terrified, and not Herod alone, but most of Jerusalem as well. Herod lost no time. He gathered all the high priests and religion scholars in the city together and asked, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born?" They told him, "Bethlehem, Judah territory." The prophet Micah wrote about it plainly. "It's you, Bethlehem, in Judah's land, no longer bringing up the rear. From you will come the leader who will shepherd, rule my people, my Israel." Herod then arranged a secret meeting with the scholars from the east. Pretending to be as devout as they were, he got them to tell him exactly where the birth announcement star had appeared. Then he told them the prophecy about Bethlehem and said, "Go find this child, leave no stone unturned. As soon as you find him, send word, and I'll join you at once in your worship." Instructed by the king, they set off. Then the star appeared again, the same star that they had seen in the eastern skies. It led them until it hovered over the place of the child. They could hardly contain themselves. They were in the right place. They had arrived at the right time. They entered the house and saw the child in the arms of Mary, his mother. Overcome, they kneeled and worshipped him. They opened their satchels and presented gifts, gold, frankincense, myrrh. In a dream, they were warned not to report back to Herod. So they worked out another route, left the territory without being seen, and returned to their own country.
Now what? Now what? Christmas is over. Advent's long past. A new year is already a week old. Lights and ornaments are packed away, and the trees are dragged to the curb and to compost. And the Christmas carols have been quickly eliminated from radio playlists and those Hallmark movies. Oh, those Hallmark movies. Just a memory. Mary, Joseph, the baby, and all their manger friends safely wrapped in tissue and stored away. So, now what? A story for you. 2 cars were waiting at a stoplight. The light turned green, but the man didn't notice it. The woman in the car behind him was watching the traffic pass all around them and noticing the green light, and he wasn't going, and she began to pound on her steering wheel and yelling at the man to get a move. The man didn't move. The woman started to go ballistic in the car. She was ranting and raving, pounding on the horn and the steering wheel. She could see the light turning yellow, and she began to blow the horn even harder. And then she flipped off the man with a, I won't tell you what, and she would scream curses at him. The man, hearing the commotion that was happening in the car around him, looked up, saw the yellow light, accelerated right through the yellow light, just as it turned red. The woman was beyond frustrated, screaming because she had missed her chance to get through that busy intersection. She was still in a self-rant in her car when she heard a tap at the window and looked up into the face of a very serious RCMP officer. The officer told her to shut off her car, exit her car. She was a bit bewildered at this point by the chain of events, because now she's being driven to the police station, fingerprinted, photographed, searched, booked, and placed in a holding cell. After a couple of hours, the guard approaches the cell and opens the door and escorts her back to the original RCMP officer, who's waiting there with all her personal effects. He hands her her purse containing all her items and says, "I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry for the mistake I made. But you see, when I pulled behind you and saw that you were blowing your horn like a maniac, flipping off the other driver and cursing a blue streak, I also noticed your 'What would Jesus do?' bumper sticker, and Jesus is the reason for the season bumper sticker. So naturally, I just assume you stole the car." Mary, Joseph, the baby, all wrapped up in tissue, stored away for another year. So now what? Christmas is over. Goodwill is spent. Generosity begins to ebb away, and humbugging is back in vogue. Christmas is over, they say. But how can that be? How can Christmas be over? The child is still a newborn. The story, that gospel story, the good news is just beginning. Those wise ones of old just reached their destination. I mean, they're still positioned in their regal kneeling, aren't they? The star is still hovering and shining. That star of wonder, proclaiming that a new age has begun. That star so bright, illuminating God's love for the world. That star of God announcing God's hope for the world. That star so bright, filling everyone who saw it. How can Christmas be over? What about hope and peace and joy and love? Does the light just disappear as quickly as the wise one get off their knees and make their way into their darkness? How can Christmas be over? So, now what? Now what, I ask. Meister Eckhart is a 13th century mystic, and he sort of responds to my question this morning. Now what? He wrote, "What good is it to me if Mary gave birth to Christ 20 centuries ago, and I do not give birth to Christ in my person, in my culture, in my times? What good is it to me?" The ancient story speaks of the Magi embarking on a new road and a new journey. And though it's not named in the gospel text, I need to believe that the wonder and the awe and the hope and the promise and the possibility that they experienced in that Christ child, the light that drew them to this place, the holy God made flesh, did not disappear as they left that place. God made flesh. As I've said many times, God taking on skin. Christmas is not over. God has taken on skin. God has taken on our skin. But again, the question, now what? Pastor and theologian Barbara Brown Taylor writes, "Once upon a time there were some very wise ones who were all sitting in their own countries, minding their own business, when a bright star lodged in the right eye of each of them. It was so bright that none of them could tell whether it was burning in the sky or in their own imagination. But they were wise enough to know that it didn't matter. The point was that something beyond them was calling them. It was a tug that they had been waiting for all of their lives. A tug. Do you feel that tug? That tug of hope, that tug of peace, that tug of joy, that tug of love. Do you? Do we feel that? Or have we just stolen the car? Christmas is not over. In fact, it's all just beginning, because we're just beginning to follow anew, to follow in the way of the one born in Bethlehem. So now what? Now it's time for us to give birth. Now it's time for us to follow the light. Now it's time for us to be the holy in the human made holy. Now what? Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Poet W.H. Auden offers these words: to discover how to be truthful now, to discover how to be living now, to discover how to be loving now, to discover how to be human now. This is the reason we follow the star. To discover how to be truthful now, living now, loving now, human now. We are a people who know the gifts of faith. We are a people who seek to live that faith in our daily lives. We are a generous people, a people of abundance, a people who have been gifted and a people who gift. We gift with our time. We gift with our listening. We gift with our loving. We gift with our activities. We gift with our passion. We gift with our commitment. We gift with our financial resources. We gift so that we can live out our faith in action beyond these walls, within these walls, in our world, in our community. Thank you for the gift of you. Thank you for the gifts that you share. And moreover, thank you for the gift that you are. Imagine for a moment you're living in the 3rd century and you're a seeker, a pilgrim, a desert wanderer, as you might have been called. For you take a journey, maybe once a year, maybe every few years, into the desert to seek the wisdom you need. To seek the direction you need for the living of your days. And you wander through the desert until you find shelter and the company of a wise elder, a wise one. And in the tradition of that day, you would say to the wise one, "Give me a word. Give me a word." And a cough drop. Thank you, wise elder. You'd ask for a word that would give you direction for your living and your loving. And the wise elder would offer you a word. And you would take that word with you, and it would be your guiding word for the journey, for the living of your days. That word, you would resonate it in your heart and your mind, pondering what it might mean for you. The word was never meant to be magic or like a prescription pill to make it all better. but rather as a way to guide you. Sorry. A way to guide you on your spiritual journey. The modern take on this ancient spiritual tradition is called star words. A word is offered at the beginning of the year and often on the Feast of Epiphany to guide you, to lead you into the year. And you may remember a few years ago we did star words. You were given stars with words on them. Today I'm doing it a bit different. And I know some people have already looked to the front of their bulletin, trying to circle words and wondering if they could go in vertical and horizontal lines. This isn't a word search. Well, it is a word search, but it's not a puzzle. I invite you either today, when you have a moment, or in the days to come, just to allow your eyes to look to the words, but not focus, right? Like almost that kind of just unintentional look. And allow a word to pop up for you. Maybe 2 words might pop up for you. And just use that word as your star word. It might speak to you today or tomorrow. It might speak to you 3 months from now. But find that word and resonate with that word and allow that word to enfold you and to guide you as we make our way into this day, into the days and nights and the new year to come.
I'd like to
What a gift indeed. An unmarried teenage girl was invited to carry Christ into this world. An ordinary carpenter was invited to be a father to a child unlike any other. The shepherds were invited.
Outcasts and isolated, included at the manger.
The magi were invited.
Foreigners and seekers, included at the manger.
And if she was invited, and he was invited, and they were invited,
And we can trust that we too are invited.
this story is for us.
This love is for us.
God has made God's home in us.